Hello, everyone. My name is Jalia Lucas, and today I'm going to presenting on the theme Not Black Enough, and I'm going to be focusing on the myth of acting white. So, okay, so a little background of why I chose this topic. So, throughout my life, especially growing up in predominantly white spaces, I've heard comments that question my identity or how black I was based on the way I talked or acted. So, this project is going to explore where those stereotypes come from, why they exist, and how they affect the way black people see themselves and each other. And my goal is to highlight how limiting and harmful the idea of not being black enough truly is. So, first, what does being acting white really mean? So, when people say someone is acting white, what they're really doing is limiting what blackness is allowed to look like. It becomes a way of policing identity based on how you talk, what you look like, or how you carry yourself. And most of this comes from historical racism and internalized messages about what's considered normal or acceptable. So instead of celebrating the diversity within our culture, this stereotype boxes us in. So, where does this stereotype come from? So, when we look at where the stereotype comes from, we see that it didn't just appear out of nowhere, right? Years of racism taught society to associate intelligence, proper speech, or professionalism with whiteness. Black people were told they had to change themselves to survive in certain environments, and over time, those expectations became internalized. So, this stereotype isn't about behavior, it's about history and how that history still shows up today. So, how does this stereotype show up in real life? So, acting white shows up through comments about speech, interests, social circles, and academic performance. Phrases like you talk white, you're different, or you're not like other Black people highlight how identity is judged when it doesn't match limited cultural experiences. And these comments are things many Black people hear in school or at home or even within friend groups. And it becomes a way of separating you from your identity because you don't fit someone's script of what being black should look like. And sometimes people say these things casually, not realizing how deeply it affects the person hearing it. So, how does this show up in the documentary? So, the documentary Not Black Enough really shows the emotional side of the stereotype. People talks about feeling isolated or misunderstood because they didn't fit into a specific type of black identity. It highlights how internal gatekeeping can be just as damaging as external racism because it makes people feel like they have to earn their identity instead of just living it. And last slide, why this stereotype matters. So, this stereotype matters because it pushes people away from their identity, from their culture, and from each other. And when we let go of these limits, we make room for every version of Blackness to exist without judgment. And embracing that diversity makes our community stronger and not weaker. So, yes, I hope you guys enjoyed my short presentation. I kind of just I wanted to make sure that I touched on everything, and I also hope you guys enjoyed the visual. So like just taking you guys through it one last time. Like starting with this last slide, like we see a black woman and she has a bunch of sticky notes surrounding her, like authenticity is your superpower, I am enough, because I feel like this project and the reason why I picked this topic specifically really resonated with me. Like as I said in the beginning, I grew up in a predominantly white school and I often got called like whitewashed or like, why did I talk like that? And just because a black person speaks proper, it's deemed as talking white, when why do we consider talking properly with associated with the white culture? Like why do people automatically assume that black people cannot be educated or talk correctly? Like I don't know, it's just very confusing to me. So yeah, and then the first slide is really my favorite because it shows a black girl in between two worlds. So on the right-hand side, you kind of or excuse me, I'm sorry, on the left-hand side you see, she's putting the white person is putting like really bright concealer on her, like just trying to change her. And or honestly, I'm sorry, yeah, it's like kind of all around. Like we just have like mixed things going on in this picture. Like we have a lot of black stereotypes hitting, like the Aunt Jemima and the watermelon at the bottom. Like we all know that's like a black stereotype. And then we have the hot comb, like trying to straighten her hair. So yeah, there's just a lot that goes on within the black culture. And yeah, I really hope I touched on everything and I hope you guys learned something and enjoyed my presentation. Okay, how do I stop recording? Okay.